All right, and we're live. Hey everyone, I hope you're doing amazing. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's start off why we're doing this tonight, and then we will jump into the questions. I see there's a whole bunch of questions already that have come in, so I will start right off from the top. But the reason I'm doing this evening, in case you're watching the recording, is because yesterday we did talk about our lifetime price lock guarantee that ends the end of December. I did that I literally got on a flight from Cincinnati last night. We finished a turnaround series in Phoenix and then another one in Cincinnati. And I was hopping on a flight. It's like a 4.5 hour flight. I'm getting on, and we hear that a couple other CRMs are increasing their prices. Well, we were going to wait on this promotion for like another 2 weeks. We decided, you know what, we're not going to do that. So in 5 minutes, we scrambled the team, put together some promotional material, threw up a couple posts, and talked about our price lock guarantee. Within 1 hour, every single slot in our sales team's calendar was booked for December. And so that's why I'm doing this evening. Answer any questions you might have, because I don't want it to be that it's like it just felt weird and wrong that everyone was saying, hey, like we can't even book a sales call in December and it ends December 31st. So I'm sorry for that. I just want to make sure that it doesn't seem like we did that and then like you raised prices in January and you're like, oh my word, you didn't have any space. So I want to answer any questions I possibly can. I'll be on here as long as I possibly can this evening. I will answer every single question you put in the chat, bar none. This is an open forum, so I didn't actually go through everyone that's in here. I know there's I think like 45 people signed up for it. So I apologize for all 45 of you that were wanting to do the one-on-one calls with Christian and the team and get more of a one-on-one demo. Some of you might already have, honestly, but we booked those all out, and we're just honestly not we're not hiring any more salespeople. We are hiring customer support people and making sure that we do a better job of onboarding. Because right now we're about a week booked out for if you want to support Zoom call, and so we need to fix that fastest. So today I was interviewing people. We hired a operations manager to continue hiring. We have another person coming online next week, and we're just going to keep improving that. So, anyways. Let's go ahead and jump in. I will answer any and all questions about Copilot. I would recommend if you're like asking about a very specific feature, it's probably not the best use of our time because a lot of that you can just figure out by getting a free trial. So if you're like, does it do this? Get a free trial. It will totally work. Also, if you're really nervous about it and you want to test a feature that's in enterprise level, you can get enterprise and then literally cancel it in a month or two and get your money back. So I'd recommend everyone, if you haven't, at least get the free trial, get the enterprise version if you need to. Up to 90 days, you literally can get it for free if you don't like it and you don't use it. So I would say that first and foremost. And I know the 365-day money-back guarantee is if you actually use it for 365 days and it doesn't increase your revenue by more than 10% or increase your profits by 10%, we will also give you all of your money back for your monthly subscription if you're in the enterprise level for up to 12 months. So again, you can go see that full thing at copilotcrm.com/guarantee. So that's the 365-day guarantee, the 90-day money back guarantee. Though you can just literally use enterprise for a couple months, be like, no, I don't want, I literally want it. Can I have my money back? Totally fine. You can, absolutely. So I just want to put that out there in case you are wondering, should I use Copilot, etc. I would recommend using this as a different way to ask questions. If you're really looking for a very specific feature, just go get the free version or get the enterprise version for a couple months and test it out. I think if you did that and you actually really saw the power of especially a lot of the enterprise features, you would see the value in it and the community inside, even just the Facebook group alone. You would see just what the trajectory of Copilot's on. So let's go ahead and get started with the questions with that. We have 40 people in here out of 45. So let's get started. Chris says, make an affiliate system. I will get you 10 signups a week. We are going to do that. This entire year, we are focused on one thing and one thing alone, and that's been development. We're moving extremely fast. Over the next several months, it's going to be completely focused on onboarding, customer success, and hiring a ton of people to make sure they're trained and can support the influx of new members. That's like our number one focus. Sales and all that stuff, we will eventually get to it, but I'm not really focused on it right now. I'm not trying to raise money. I'm not trying to like inflate our revenues massively by capitalizing on this, new wave. Like that's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on getting the users in and making them successful. And so what I've seen over the past couple of weeks is because we haven't been able to onboard people as quickly and get them into the system, they're not using some of the features and then they're not booking calls. And so I'm seeing less people use things like upsells and one-click estimate emails, and that's a failure on our part. So that's why we're trying to get more and more customer success people so we can call people, reach out, and be like, hey, this is a upsell feature is like awesome. Here's how you do the one-click estimate email. Hey, this sequence automation will solve your collections problem. This is the type of thing that we want to be able to do, and that's our main focus in the next few months. But we do have an affiliate system we're going to eventually do. We have it on the board for probably summer 2024. What do you see as Copilot's current competitive advantage to SA? Why switch Augusta now and not 1 year from now? Signed up in the process of transferring, but a little worried about stability and downtime. Great point, Phil. Especially if you recently signed up. We just switched to AWS this past Tuesday. It wasn't an easy transition. We were supposed to do it Sunday night, and it took all the way till Tuesday. So we had to go down twice for 4 hours. It was not good. It was horrible. However, if we're in the system 2 weeks ago versus this week, you will have seen the difference in speed. And there was not a single time we went down since switching to AWS in terms of like even slowing down. So switching to AWS was a huge thing for the team. It was huge infrastructure that we didn't really expect. But even in the past month, when we started getting 10, 15, 20 people signed, like new businesses coming online every day, like the servers were melting and like literally, and our old servers could not handle it. AWS, we are a tiny fish in their very big pond. And so they can scale up with us. They cost a lot more. And we have a 12-month plan. I was talking with the members this morning in the Copilot Facebook group. We have a 12-month plan for the migration to AWS. There's so many different things we can do with AWS in terms of redundancy of servers, as well as distributed across different countries. So for example, if you have a server in the middle of the US, you're going to have faster load times in the central part of the US versus the coast. Like there's, it's milliseconds, but that adds up when you're doing thousands of pages a day and you have a bunch of employees. Same thing with the different countries like Australia. If you have just one server in the US and you have Australia, you can literally double the load times just by not having a server in that region. And so AWS just allows so much more, and that's really why we're tapping into it. It's a huge cost for us, and we're hiring an outside development team that specializes in AWS to carry us for the next 12 months. And every single month, they're just going to see improvements in that regard. So I would agree, Phil, with your assessment. And if that was not like the number one priority for us, and it has been as we go into 2024, I would probably really question Copilot if I was joining. The fact that I brought in Augusta like literally this week is because we switched over to AWS, and now like my level of confidence in the downtime is significantly greater. And if and when that happens, because we are still iterating, especially the next 4 or 5 weeks so fast still, I know that it'll be massively improved compared to it has been even the past couple months. So I can only say in terms of the stability and downtime that, like, look at the last few days versus last week, plus the fact that we are only in the first step of about 10 steps of moving and improving stuff in AWS. I think we'll be one of the fastest CRMs by the end of 12 months. I really do believe that. We're just like going to overspend on this situation because we look at uptime as like the most important thing. In terms of the competitive advantage of the Copilot versus SA, the strengths of Service Autopilot are their automations and their dispatch board. Those are very, very strong. The parts that I feel Copilot has a competitive advantage of is the leadership of the company and the community, and the utilization of the tools and the software to actually see meaningful impact in the business. That's why we get software. We don't get software for fancy buttons and screens. We get it to improve the business and drive revenue and increase profits. And that's why we have the guarantee at Copilot. Because like, if I don't do that for you, if Copilot doesn't do that for you, you should have your money back. That's why the software exists. And so I feel like other CRMs have lost their vision on that, and they have become financial arbitrage machines once they've been bought out by private equity. And that's why I started Copilot. And so, yeah, hope that makes sense. Is there a form that can go on our website to collect leads? Yes, this is the work request form, and you can have it as a link or you can have it as a script. And we're going to be adding a whole bunch of functionality around this next year, because right now you need a developer to really customize like the text, colors, and all the rest of it. Our hope is that in the future we can have, we're going to in the future have where you can edit the form in much more of a drag and drop format, and then it creates the code for you, and then you can put that wherever you want in your site. But right now, there is a form. It's all integrated within Alert You, and you can sync it in with your automations and etc. There is that already, but it's not. You need someone that has a little bit of coding expertise if you're going to customize it. And right now, if you just take the script, it's pretty long, and I wouldn't put it on like your homepage without some customization and cutting it down. Is there a way to track yellow slips in Copilot? Thanks, Mike. For those who don't know what yellow slips are, it's essentially callbacks. I would probably just make those as meetings right now and do a type, and you can make it yellow color wise if you wanted to, just for the sake of the calendar. But I would just do a meeting type and change the category to be a yellow slip. That's probably the easiest way to do it in terms of on the schedule. In terms of on like keeping track of it, I would do that in P4P. Because that will have a user profile where you can keep track of it and you keep track of their when they're late and all the rest of it, or you just keep track of it in their user profile. You can make notes in there if you like, but that's about as close as it gets right now. Tell us about rate matrices and templates like we use in SA. So rate matrices and job costing is already in the system for the beta group. It'll be released probably Tuesday or Wednesday next week. It is actually fully functional and ready to roll, besides about 3 or 4 bugs we are fixing on it. So thank you to the beta group that is putting up with some of those. They are a volunteer group of individuals that are kind of our power users that go in there and see features before they are released. And so it's already in their system, and they've been trained on it. And Tuesday or Wednesday next week, it'll release to everybody. What was the other question? Templates. Yeah, so right now you can customize estimate templates pretty well, but you can't do like a whole bunch of design stuff. So we are going to be using our plugin in terms of templates, and you're saying comparing to SA, we use the exact same email builder as SA. We just have the program that costs about 4 times as much as them, and it has a lot more features. And so essentially what we're going to be doing is creating email template. That same email template builder allows you to customize email estimate templates, and we just need to do a little bit of back work on the back end to be able to allow you to do those and actually design them yourself. Ours will have significant more functionality for comparing it to this specific CRM because I know exactly what they're using. We're using the exact same tool. We just paid a whole lot more for you to have more functionality. That's why if you look at our email builder, we have like 9 different widgets. I think they have 4 or 5. We just pay a lot of money to have the extra. I would like to know how to better use the chemical tracking and formulation of the chemical usages rates. Definitely book a call with air traffic control. Sounds like you're an existing member right now. Book a call with ATC. They can walk you through it. There's also training on Copilot University for anyone that has questions about like things like specific like this. Go on Copilot University. It's free. MikeAndes.com/Copilot. It's free training, and feel free to just go and look for chemical tracking. We are improving chemical tracking and forms. Those are kind of the big ones this coming spring. While I'm actually yakking about this, let me show you this just for the sake of potentially answering questions. So this is, I'm gonna go back to Copilot. You go to our main site, and then you go to About, and then you go to Roadmap. You can kind of see what we're working on, like the main objectives. So here's the thing. You're usually going to beat this typically. So for example, like upselling, we literally finished that already. The offline mode for, this right here, we'll be done this in January. So take this all with a grain of salt. Like we are not literally working on this one and then this one and this one, for example. But just take all that with a grain of salt. So for example, we got P4P software done. It's going to get a big revamp next week. Job costing price matrices goes in next week. This one's going to be probably the beginning of January. So we might be a week or 2 behind on that. And then we'll be starting on work order forms and form updates. We just finished AWS transfer and upgrade speed. So like, this, you can pretty much count on we're going to knock these ones out. So if you look at this, for example, there's improved chemical tracking and wait list right here. All right. In Q1. Am I showing this? Yeah, good. So you can see, and like we have so far nailed our roadmap in terms of what I say publicly. Internally, I have some very ambitious goals, but publicly, what we share here, we are ahead of schedule typically, to be perfectly honest. And I try to be conservative because I really hate when someone's like, we're going to do this. And then like 5 years later, it hasn't changed. So I try not to do that. I was wanting to know how to use the client portal on my website for my customers to access. There's a link you can use and tie it behind a button. if you would like them to have client portal access. I personally don't think it's super necessary because you can just have it where every link goes right into their account using their individualized link for estimates, invoices, et cetera. Takes them right into their account, and then they can do payment stuff in there, et cetera. We don't require them to have a login or like the very worst thing someone can do is go into their account and submit an estimate request form. So like it's not super secure issues. They can enable a login, no problem, and then it shows you in their side their client account too. But yeah, can how Copilot handle chemical packages versus SA? If you're really rooted in chemical packages and SA, I'd wait until after spring or like until this spring when we do improvements to packages and chemical tracking in Copilot. If you like are really, really deep in chemical packages in SA, because I know like there are some people that use chemical packages in SA very, very deeply. So if you're like a whiz at packages in SA, you will not want Copilot yet. You'll want to wait. Does everything function the same for Canadian users, such as credit cards? It was mentioned that fees are lower via ATC, which I'm not familiar with, but currently eat about 3% when someone pays via QuickBooks Online. Yeah, we're right around 3%. QuickBooks is 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. We charge that exact same amount. And so for Canadian users, I have not seen anything different with that. A lot of them use the Interact system with eChecks, and then that goes through Plaid, and that's all done through the ACH system. So yeah, feel free. There's a couple Canadian members. They were talking about this the other day. I forget exactly what they're talking about or like what the end result of the conversation was. But I know e-transfers are a big deal up there. So like Plaid has this with ACH, and I am going to go out on a limb and say it's the exact same rates as everything else with Stripe, which for us, we charge 0.8% for ACH and it caps at $5. So essentially, if you had a $100 transaction, you're going to pay, what is it? 80 cents. And then if you have a $10,000 transaction through ACH, you're going to pay, what is it? $5. That's the cap. Brian Henderson, is there a wait list like SA has to schedule multi-step program services instead of predetermined dates? That is coming. We actually had it in the system. We stripped it out because we were going to rebuild it, and it's going to be very good. And then what's going to happen is you could put random jobs in there like chemical tracking or aeration or whatever, overseeding, so you can just throw it on the schedule when scheduling or weather permits. But then also we're going to have it when an estimate is accepted, it just goes on the wait list because it's ready to be scheduled. And then you would just automatically, when you get an automation to go in there, be able to put that on the schedule. This ties into drone mode, which is kind of like next year where the system will actually be able to schedule for you using budget hours, using a bunch of other things that we have in terms of AI to be able to actually tell you when the job should be scheduled. But the first step of drone mode is in the waiting list, it'll tell you when we think it should be scheduled. And then down the road, you can actually, as you see its accuracy improve, you can be like, okay, I trust this enough that when the customer click accept to give them an exact date of when the job is going to be scheduled. Does anyone know how to cancel SA on the weekend? I have no idea. I think you have to call them. Does it do monthly contracts? Also snow plowing. Yeah, so we don't call them contracts. We call it monthly billing. Sorry, level billing. My apologies. Level billing. And so you can set the frequency of all of that. If you have trouble, ATC can help you. But all of that training is inside of the Copilot University. And what we do is we create a level billing. If you want to replace the word level billing with contracts, it's interchangeable. We call it level billing because a contract assumes like you have this like written contract. We don't. It's level billing. And then underneath that level billing, we have a bunch of services that do not affect the cost of the monthly bill. It's level billing. So that's why we kind of change the verbiage on that, because down the road, contracts are going to become something very different. And that's going to come around signatures. So level billing is very different in our opinion. Oh, and in terms of snow plowing, you can go onto YouTube. Just go on our YouTube channel for Copilot CRM and just look up snow plowing. I bet if you put in like snow plowing Copilot CRM, it'd probably come up on YouTube. There's two different ways we suggest doing snow plowing inside of Copilot. Personally, I would recommend to not use Copilot until the spring and wait till after the snow season if you have more than 50 properties that you do for snow plowing. So I think it's on here. It is not on here. But in Q3, oh yeah, it's just under the more part. But in Q3 is when next year we will be doing quite a bit of changes to improve the amount of jobs that I think Copilot could handle in for snowplowing. There's certain features that you really want. For example, one of them is really nice is so the guy you have to clock in and out, it just does geolocation of the properties. So when they drive into the property, it's clocking them in. That's super helpful. Things like that will be done. Excited about setting up 2024, switching from SA and trying to understand how to set up chemical packages and waiting list packages or services. Yep. So if you are really like personally, I think waiting lists are overrated. I don't use waiting lists. I've used Service Autopilot for many years, and I know some people got started on it and they probably have built their systems around it. I'm not a huge fan. However, we are building a waiting list. And when it comes to chemical tracking and packages specifically, we do have that functionality. And there's chemical companies inside of Copilot right now. But if you have over 400,000 of just treatments, I would wait a little bit until spring because that's when we're going to have that done in Copilot. So packages, wait list, et cetera. And again, reference that roadmap. It talks about that as Q1 objectives. Is there a way to get Stripe to send batch reports every day? Yes. If you go to your settings inside of Stripe, they can send you daily, every single transaction. You can kind of customize it inside your Stripe account. Hey Mike, currently we use Real Green for all our chemical customers. It has a very few important things that I'm wondering if CP can do. Okay, this is going to be all about chemical tracking stuff, that all of which I can say very certainly, all of these we cannot do. Besides number 3, there is a mobile app for technicians, and we're improving it so it can have an offline mode in January. But number 1 and 2, we cannot do those. I know some people have made workarounds, but it's not what you're thinking, and it's not like Real Green. I should say that. But there are people that have done this inside a Copilot. But at your size, Liam, when you have like 3,000 chem clients inside Real Green, I would wait. It's too many for the transition without it being too bumpy. There are people inside Copilot doing a ton of treatments, but they have changed the way they do their packages right now to kind of a fit and accommodate it. So again, you can get the free for everyone who asks about chemicals. You can see what we can do with chemicals in the free version. So get the free version, throw like 150 clients in a CSV, throw them in there, and just start playing with it. See if it can work or not. I would just say from what I have seen, there's been a lot more friction for companies that are large doing chemical coming out of Real Green. Because they have a very determined, like, it is made for chemical tracking, it is made for chemical applicators. We aren't that specialized for just that industry. And so I would wait. If you're bigger, I'd wait till after we've finished the stuff in Q1. Literally just received an email from Service Autopilot about 2024 price increase. I have been speaking with Christian over the year and I'm going to switch. I just have to be strategic with migration. Does Copilot or Mike Callahan have an answer for retaining clients and services history, like possibly a report with an essay? I would feel way more comfortable with the transition if this problem can be addressed. Okay, so let me just say this. Job history, I know it's scary losing, but it's actually not a big deal. You know why? Because I've transitioned and I was like, okay, we got to keep the software. And I would recommend keeping your other software open at its lowest subscription level for like 3 to 6 months, just for the sake of peace of mind. But honestly, you rarely use it. What I would do is use the end of the year as your end mark for collections. So you'd send all of your collections right now and be like, hey, if you don't pay by December 31st, we're sending you collections. Then what you can do is at the end of the year, you take all those invoices, you print them all off, get everything in paper and digitize it, send it off to collections. And you now have record of their invoice that has been sent to collections, and you don't need their history. You have everything in terms of their paper trail, and it's all digitized. So that's what we're doing. We're obviously trying to collect as much as possible in December, and that is a nice boom of cash flow for anyone that didn't pay throughout the year. And you say, look, if you don't pay by in December, you're going to collections. And then once you give it to collections, it's not really technically your bill anyways, because they're collecting on it. So they should be getting the money and sending you a check, for example, if they're a good collections agency. So I wouldn't worry about job history or invoices, for example, et cetera. I would be more concerned about the fact, unfortunately, that you lose their payment information, right? Because like if you're moving from Service Autopilot, all that that information is locked up in Clearant. And yes, there is a way inside of Stripe to get this information and connect it to every single account. The reason I have not talked about this is because I am not sure what that's going to look like when credit cards expire, when payments bounce, etc. I do not know if that's going to work well. Stripe says it's going to, and I just haven't been able to test it myself. But if you go look up, there's a link. I should have this up off the top of my head. Just look up Stripe migrate new payment info. Migrating your customer data to Stripe. Look that up. So design a process for customers to update their card information, data migrations, types that can be requested, migration, etc. So it says here, look up Stripe migration. Okay. And it says like they're going to help you go through it and everything. So if you really wanted to do that, again, my thing is this. I'd just spend my time sending out the email to all my customers. I'd make a link in my invoice email and I would roll with it. And yes, there's gonna be some people that don't open up your email because for the past 2 years, they haven't had to because their credit card's been on file. But if you put an email that says after them not paying their first invoice, like decline payment, please update your payment method and subject to the email. It's gonna get opened. Click one button, and immediately they can put in their card information. And for us, like they don't even have to log in. They literally go in there, enable auto pay, put their card on file, and they're locked and loaded. So I would not be as concerned about job history, D Nichols, as the fact that you are going to lose payment information unless you go through the painstaking part of doing one customer at a time payment method through Stripe, which supposedly it works. I haven't tested it out. What was I going to say? I would keep open the account though for the next few months, just for the sake of peace of mind. So if you're like, oh man, I forget if we did her job on Mondays or Tuesdays, or if it was that, did we bill for this? Like you can always go back and just check it out. But honestly, you hardly ever go back if you actually, you just don't. I just consistently people say like they kept it open and they never ended up going back into their old account. Mike, I love the upsell feature, and it's really reeling me in. It's really reeling me in from Jobber. I use Company Cam as well. Plans for the API or a build out that's native. Have you been in the platform? Have you seen the platform from Issue ID? It's really slick. Would like something like that to be a vision and for the future, even if it's a paid add-on. Let me just say real quick, whether it be upsells or whatever new cool stuff we have plans for 2024, don't join any software or just change for one feature. Don't. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Okay. You want to be looking at the holistic plan. You want to be looking at the roadmap. You want to be looking at the leadership team. What direction is this company going? You want to be looking at what's their track record in terms of raising prices and adding value. Not so much raising prices, because honestly, I would have been willing to pay double what I was paying before if people were just creating more solutions for me to make my business more profitable. So I just don't, as much as I know you're being positive, thank you, Mike, I appreciate it. Don't look at one feature, whether it is pro for me, Copilot, or against Copilot. Don't look at one feature. You need to look at the whole thing, and don't change for the sake of one feature. Don't be like, oh man, just upsell. I'm not, Mike, I love you. I appreciate you being positive. I'm just saying, don't change the Copilot because of one thing. We will make many things in the future that are very, very cool, but you shouldn't do it because of just one thing. And I don't think you are, Mike. That's not my point. I'm saying we do have Company Cam features that we have in our roadmap. If you look at the roadmap here, there is, where's the video integrations, Q2. All right. It will likely be mostly native. So like right now you can attach videos to emails and it'll compress it down. I think it's like up to 15 megabytes or something like that. But we do want to have more video and picture related stuff in the future. And then D Nichols, in relation to does Copilot or Mike Callan have an answer for retaining clients and service history? Oh, got it. No, we kind of talked about this. Got it. Let's see what we got here. We use different automation software, Albado, instead of Zapier. Is there a way to integrate with other than Zapier tools, like a coming API for Copilot? Probably down the road. We're just moving stuff so fast right now. If we made an API, we'd be breaking everyone's APIs, and they get mad. You'd get mad at us because, like, hey, I got this great integration with Albado, and then like literally we'd be changing over to AWS would have like flipped the script on all of that. So we had to redo our integration with uh, Zapier because of it, because it's like everything's different. Do you think the work request form can be edited, shortened by Spring Rush? Right now, we double enter customers just so we have a short form on the website. Yes, it'll be done by spring for sure. So when I say Spring Rush, I think April. So in terms of timeline, if you look at the board here, it is Q4. So what that can tell you is that we are a little bit behind in this one, mostly because the AWS transfer took us significantly longer than expected. So will it be done in Q4? I can confidently say no. Probably the first couple weeks of January. So the work order form and the form updates are actually two very, very different things. Because the form updates is very different. Anyways, but I will confidently say by April, definitely yes, it'll be done. Thomas Hedrick says, I currently use Yardbook. When I transfer my Stripe account to Copilot, will I have to have all my customers add a credit card on file again? Thomas, talk to Stripe and ask them. We have a lot of people that have their information from Jobber, Yardbook, a host of other CRMs that use Stripe, and Stripe says that they can connect the accounts. I have not personally done this. This is why you have not heard me talk about this. If anyone listening switches to Copilot and does the painstaking work of connecting customers inside Copilot and Stripe, you let me know. Because I will personally have you on a webinar with me and we will walk through what you did. I just have not done it for any of my accounts. And furthermore, the reason I'm not talking about this is because I don't know what the downstream effects are. And if they connect, does it have issues when there's balance payments, if there's a chargeback, if there is a card that goes expired, etc. I just know that an email sent to all your customers, i.e. just an invoice in your next invoice at the bottom, having a link that like, instead of having the subject being like your invoice number 463, instead of that being like payment method expired, please update. And literally they go into it. It's like your invoice is overdue. Please update your credit card information here and enable auto pay. Bam. They do that one time. Yes, they might miss it the first time. You set up an automation sequence and sequence automations that over the next 14 days, it follows up with them and gets that card information. For the 10% of people who don't, you give them a call at the end of that 2 weeks and be like, hey, we changed CRMs. We just know you get that payment information updated. Really appreciate you doing business, etc. I'd just do that. And if it's in the middle of spring of winter for you and you're not mowing, don't go send your email to all of your customers explaining your switch to a new CRM and they got to do a form, like fill out new credit card information. Don't do that. Just wait till their first invoice. That's when they're actually paying for them to actually take action right away. That would be my recommendation. Does Copilot allow this use case? What use case? Steven. I did not see anything from Steven. Steven. Sorry, Steven. I do not see any other question from you. Am I missing something? I am not missing anything because I do not see him in this whole chat. So, Steven, I do not what use case you are talking of. Please explain and I will answer. Well, we have 45 people here. That's everyone that applied. Register, you know. Coming from a cheap software like Yardbook, how do I best put this software to work for me? Great question, Kyle. I actually asked someone in the Copilot group the other day that came from Yardbook, and they were saying how much they've grown since joining Copilot. And I was like, I actually asked them, I'm like, how do I explain to people in Yardbook that it is worth joining a program and spending $250 a month? Cool. Let me first say this. If you don't want to grow your business past like 200,000, I don't think you need Copilot. Yardbook will probably do the trick if you're in the green industry because you just need a good Google page, good word of mouth, and you'll probably grow to $150,000 to $200,000. Now, if you're going to grow past 500,000, if you want to have multiple crews, if you want to have like a lot of stuff going on, if you want to grow quickly using upsells and one-click estimate emails and text messaging and all the other stuff that we have, then you do need software. And so the question is it worth $250 a month? Here's the thing. If it's not worth $250 a month, I don't want your money. I personally believe that $250 per month can buy me 10% growth in my business guaranteed, or 10% increase in profits guaranteed, or I get all my money back. I think that's a pretty good idea. For me personally, that would mean I would get like $1 million more in revenue guaranteed if I was joining Copilot. That's pretty cool. And so we make that guarantee because I think that's what software should be built for. And we are investing in tools and systems and features that are going to do that, because I'm guaranteeing it. I don't want to give people's money back because it's bad business. And so all of our features are governed to increase your revenue and increase your profits. And I'm not saying that Yardbook doesn't do that. I just don't believe they're going to be able to do it for larger companies that are really trying to scale fast. Now, are there companies that grow very big inside of Yardbook? Yes. How they make money is a piece of all the money through transaction volume. All right. And so I'm personally not a fan of that, just because I don't want to be giving a piece of my pie away to other people. And so because you have your own Stripe account, you can technically, if you grow really big, you could actually go negotiate with Stripe and get better deals. And so that's what, to be perfectly honest, that's how Yardbook makes money. Is they get all this transaction volume, and then they strike a deal with Stripe, they get a cut of all the money, and that's how they make their money. So really, you're like, oh, it's free. No. They're getting between 0.5% and 1% of that transaction. And so I would recommend not looking at the dollars and cents, because honestly, I would have been willing to pay. I was paying $800 per month before switching to Copilot at one of my locations. Now I'm paying like $500. I would have been willing to pay twice as much, $1,500 to $1,600 per month, if that software would have continued development. But because it's stalled out for the past 3 to 4 years, now I don't feel like it has any unique advantage over my competition. I used to believe, and I used to think that like 6, 7 years ago, I did not want to tell my competitors, my local competition, that I use this software because I thought it was that good. It gave me a leg up on everyone else around me. I didn't want to tell them. In part because I was immature and hadn't learned much about like a rising tide floats all boats. I hadn't learned that concept yet. This is like 6, 7 years ago. Doing like 400,000 to 900,000 in that window. A little bit more scarcity mindset. Yep. I'll say I did that. But I literally wouldn't talk about it because like I believed it was a unique selling proposition, like the thing that made me special. Can't say that about that same software now because it hasn't changed in 4 or 5 years. And so when I look at what Copilot's doing, I truly believe one thing like one-click estimate emails can double your business without you spending any money on marketing, therefore making it much more profitable. I personally believe that something like bulk email messaging and bulk text messaging, and the fact that things like an upsell feature can literally improve your margins dramatically. Like upsells are going to allow you to sell to customers during your slowest periods of time. So if you're mowing and it's like, man, the grass isn't growing very much. All right, guys, let's double down on upsells and let's sell them all these projects to keep the demand higher during those months when otherwise it's really slow. That is a huge boom to your business. And if you think we've done a lot this year, let me show you this. This is fun. Now we're having some fun. I showed this to the group this morning. This morning we had office hours. I keep referring to it this morning. This morning we had office hours. We talked on the live stream with all the members of Copilot for like over an hour this morning. Mercy goodness. Usually it's not that long. Let me present this. Let me show this. One second. It's coming. Okay. This is something I might show in like a week or two. Because we are going to raise prices eventually. Not to everyone joining in December. It's going to be price lock guarantee. But this is the thing. I'm okay with people raising prices. I'm actually a big fan of people raising prices. I tell everyone to raise prices in the service industry because everyone charges too little. So please raise my prices on my software, but please put that money to good use and create features and support and things that will allow me to grow my business. And I haven't seen that. That's what makes me mad. But let me say this. This is the stuff that Copilot has done this year. Let me see if this can be any better for you. Boom, boom. There you go. So this is the stuff we've done in 2023. Okay, let's just go through this real quick. All right. Boom. So just on the support side, we added a 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time support live stream that's daily. We added Zoom and phone support. We used to just have chat, but now we have Zoom and phone one-on-one support. One thing we're going to be adding in January is going to be sick. It's going to be onboarding and like help, like white glove this, like plug and play for you to onboard all of your customers, do all of your settings, all of your automations, all of your email templates for you. It's going to be amazing. I just got to bulk up our support team. So that's what we're working on. Copilot University, we added that this year. Extended air traffic control support chat to now 65 plus hours per week. And we're working on trying to get weekends and more evening hours. So this is going to probably be more in the realm of 85 to 90 hours here by January. Private live stream with myself. We started doing that. That was cool. Flight log. We added the flight log where you can see live updates of everything we're working on. You go to the main site. Infrastructure added. We migrated to AWS for industry leading cloud computing. And honestly, we're just starting a 12-month process of doing that. But even this week, like literally improved the site speed by over 60%. Let's go. Offline mode for mobile app. That's going to be completed though next month. Technically, we're shooting for the January 1st. I think it's going to trickle over though, just because of the holidays. Features added though. Let's see here. Sequence automations, job costing and price matrices. Literally, it is in production. It's going to be for everyone though next Wednesday. Deposit thresholds, which means you never have to ask for a deposit again, because when they click accept, it literally tells them exactly what they got to pay for their deposit, and they pay the deposit before you even see the notice of the estimate being accepted. So when you get the estimate being accepted, you just put it on the schedule. Budget hour capacity charts. This is going to tell you when you're overbooked in your backlog. It's going to make sure you don't overbook yourself, especially as you go into spring rush. P4P software integration. Some big updates that coming that one next week, but it's already done. Multi-location control. Again, if you have multiple locations, you can have one access for your office and they can quickly jump in between different locations. And if they're out in different time zones, it'll tell them what the time is in that time zone. And you can track where they're at on each page, and it's very cool. Call notes and automated reminders. So when someone's leaving, you don't want every single call note stacking up in someone's account, because then it becomes like a 5-page document over the course of several years. So what do? You have customer notes and then you have call notes inside the client portal or inside the client profile. So what you do is every single call, the office can put very detailed notes, and they can set up reminders if they need to follow up, and it'll automatically send a text email to the customer, you, the owner, or them themselves, and they'll put an automated reminder. But most importantly, it is an ability to have call notes where you keep a log of every single communication, and you have customer notes, which is more sticky. So for example, customer notes are going to be things like they're deaf. They have a dog that bites you if you go in the backyard. You need to see those things at the top. The call notes, over the course of 5 years, you might have 50 interactions with this person. It's also searchable. So you can literally search the call notes. Very, very cool. Card on file requirements. Most of us, we should be having a card on file. The painful part of that is that you have to email them after they accept the estimate. Okay, you have to accept this card on file for us to get you on the schedule. No longer the case, because when they click accept, it says, fantastic, we need your card on file. They immediately go into the client portal, they fill out the form, enable auto pay, and then they accept the estimate, comes through to you, and their card is on file and auto pay is enabled, and they can't take auto pay off if you enable that in the settings. So that's kind of cool. Upselling from the mobile app. That's the one we've been talking about recently. The wiki page is now live. A global search bar and note search. This is all added this year, by the way. The KPI cockpit, where you see all of your KPIs and all of your metrics in terms of close ratio and attrition rate, and your average ticket for projects and your average ticket for recurring jobs. Everything is in there, like a whole bunch of stuff. Dark mode. ChatGPT integration and upgraded email builder. So if you're wanting how to do a contract, if you're wanting how to handle a situation with a customer, inside of the email, you can just use the AI integration and it'll tell you what to email. Make a contract, estimate, builder, whatever you need. And then we integrate with Zapier. That was all in 2023. The question is, well, what's 2024 going to look like? A whole lot better, to be perfectly honest, because we have a better backend infrastructure. Our team is much more refined. I'm better at developing product and working with the team. And so we're just going to get better at this stuff. And so we still have 4 to 5 weeks inside of 20. There's no volume. No volume on what? Oh, okay. There's one comment. Whew. So I've said pretty consistently that in 2023, we were playing catch up with what I thought was needed inside of the CRM world. And then 2024, I really do believe that by the end of 2024, it's gonna be like super obvious that we're ahead. And so some people just need to wait till the end of 2024. That's totally fine. That's why we're doing the price lock guarantee for everyone in 2023, because there's been some bumps and bruises along the way. Last Tuesday was not fun when we had to take it down, especially for Australian users. Not fun, because we had to take it down in the middle of their day. I did not like that. I was very sorry. I told them if it lasted longer than on the second time, we were going to refund them for that month, because it was not good. There's been some bumps and bruises. And so for everyone that joins now, I'm going to lock in their monthly price forever. All right, where are we at? What does the Ring Central integrations look like? That's amazing. It's not done yet. We haven't started on it. And that is it's in Q, is it Q2? I think it's in Q2. I gotta look on the roadmap. But basically, Ring Central integration will allow it so that when a customer calls, if their account is inside of your database, their account would pull up for your office. So you don't have to ask them, like, have we done service for you before? What's your address? What's your name? You wouldn't have to. You'd already know. How are users billed? Do you have to pay for a user for the whole year, or is it per month? Yeah, it's per month that they're in the software. Will Copilot work in Australia? Yeah, it's crazy. There's tons of Australians using Copilot. It's incredible. It's the second. It's more than Canada. It's actually a ton. John. Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any plans to add additional payment processes besides Stripe? And if so, is there a timeline? Yes, we do have plans to do that. Timeline. It's low priority, to be perfectly honest. I was just being honest. Probably end of 2024. And it'll probably be geared towards like a subscription style, like very low processing fee, but for massive, like much, much larger companies. But again, you all have your own Stripe account. If you're doing a large amount of processing, you can go negotiate that with Stripe. So for example, we had a poop scooping company inside of Copilot, and they have a lot of transactions because they charge 10 to 15 bucks per service. You don't want to be paying 30 cents off of every single one of those plus a percentage, because it becomes like 6, 7, 8% of what you're charging. And so they went to Stripe, and they got that reduced. I think they got it on like 5 cents, but that adds up for them because they're high transaction volume, or high frequency volume. Jim Barrett, I would like to know everything chemical tracking related. I am looking for automated chemical tracking and the ability to create 5 to 6 step programs. I know you mentioned prior to the spring rush. Yeah, so you probably heard this earlier because it was like we're 30 minutes behind this chat here. That's horrible. My bad. But yeah, right now we have the automated chemical tracking in terms of like weather, stuff like that, when they're on the job site. We do not have we have programs, but it's not like what you're thinking. So feel free to look at the free program. Feel free to get enterprise for a month or two, check it out. But I would venture to guess that you will probably want to wait if you have hundreds or thousands of chemical tracking clients. Well, we are way behind. I am 30 minutes behind on questions. Okay, let me try to speed up, guys. We're a professional holiday lighting service, and we're looking at Copilot as a CRM for our seasonal work. Do you see Copilot as serviceable? Do you see Copilot as being serviceable for our user, Mike? I do. We have quite a few companies that do holiday lights inside Copilot. I'm careful to like name drop people unless they've asked, like specifically given us a testimonial video, which we have quite a few, but like, I'm not going to name drop. There's just a bunch of other companies that do lights inside of Copilot, and a lot of like even Augusta Lawn Care franchisees at Augusta, we do Christmas lights. Mike, are there any other franchise customers that use pay for performance like fast food restaurants, or why doesn't McDonald's use it? It's harder for McDonald's to attribute labor revenue to a specific fry, shake, drink, burger, etc., because they have so many, like thousands of touches in a day, versus for mowing and for most of our service businesses, we have between 2 or 3 stops a day and 25 stops a day. And so it's okay to be tracking that time, like in and out 25 times. You can't track that in and out 1,000 times because so many people touch it, like a thing of fries, a shake, etc. There is certain amounts of incentive though for them. For example, they have certain amount of revenue they make per hour for like the crew on the shift on crew and things like that. They do incentivize. Can you explain how you plan to use ChatGPT with Copilot and how you plan to use AI to track scheduling and help get a better route for my customers? I hope I worded this correctly. Yeah. So in terms of the ChatGPT, it's already integrated with the email, and that allows it to be where you can just like ask it to respond to an email. You can ask it to write you out a certain contract and give it framework of like what you want it to say. Mostly helpful, honestly, when customers are being a little bit belligerent and you want to be sensitive. You can literally just like copy their email and be like, please write me a detailed, thoughtful response that's kind and persuasive. And it will write you a very good response to them. So that's all integrated. In terms of AI, like what we're doing with scheduling, I'm holding the cards a little bit close to my chest, only because I know other companies have tried to do this. And there's a few of them thinking about trying to do it this coming year, and they're going to call it automated scheduling. We don't call it automated scheduling. That's not what we do. We call it drone mode. Okay. So drone mode is something that we've been working on. I've thought about this for a very long time of how it can be done. I have pages and pages of how it should be done with the code. And so I'm gonna hold a little bit close to my chest. We are using things like budget hours, geofencing, and geographical on maps and GPS coordinates to figure out when recurring jobs, projects, and estimates should be scheduled. So, and it'll all be customizable what the customer sees, and it'll be where you can allow it to do suggestions, or eventually, as time goes on, you allow the Copilot to take the flight controls and schedule the jobs for you. And I really do believe by in 2025, the vast majority of people using Copilot will allow drone mode to be fully enabled and rock and roll. The reason that's important is because when the customer accepts the estimate, in my opinion, it's not actually accepted and locked and loaded until they have paid the deposit, they have a card on file, and they have the date of service. Until those things have been established, they could potentially go get another bid. And so we have deposit thresholds to get the deposit. We have credit card requirements for across the whole company or individual customers. Like, you don't have to require a credit card file for like your commercial customers. You can just take it off. But those two things are covered. That third part is the beast, and no other CRM has really cracked the code. And we use what we call DST, a differential scheduling technology, because you need to decipher between jobs that are recurring and jobs that are project based, and they have to handle those extremely differently. And that's why most automated scheduling hasn't worked in the past. And so this is something that I have dreamed of making. I literally gave my architecture and all my notes to a different CRM years ago and said, I think this would work fantastic. And they did not use it. So we have to build Copilot because we can make it happen. This could have been built 5 years ago. What we're doing at Copilot is massive catch-up project, folks. The next 2 years, we are literally year and a half. The roadmap is literally just me trying to catch up on the stuff that I knew should have been built for this industry years ago. And it's kind of sad, honestly. And I hope that in 3 or 4 years, like, we are like leagues ahead of them, or they've caught up. I'd be thrilled in my brain if all of them like, oh, we shouldn't be taking 60, 70% profits. We should actually create better support. We should actually create better features for our users. We should actually guarantee their results. I'd be thrilled out of my brain. That's why Copilot exists. Just FYI, like, 1 second, let me rant for a second. Copilot does not exist to make a bunch of money or to be able to put other CRMs out of business. So if you're coming from Service Autopilot, Jobber, Yardbook, Aspire, any of these other companies, I don't want them to fail. I'm going to be very clear about this. I just hope that by us crushing it, they all have to pick up their game and they support their members better. There's no reason why the leaders of these companies should not be doing live streams. There's no reason why there shouldn't be beta groups that they interact with. There's no reason why they shouldn't be having really awesome communities inside of Facebook and at live events. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to create features that they can actually guarantee the success of their users and the businesses inside of them. Because the software exists for the business to be successful. The business does not exist in order to make the software go raise their next round of funding or go get a fancy office in Silicon Valley. And so I'm just thrilled if we put some pressure on these people to get off their butts and start putting some of their gazillion dollars they have in private equity to work. And they will not do anything about it until we start taking away market share. And I believe that by the end of 2024, some of them will wake up. And some of them already fortunately have. They've actually communicated with their customers about the roadmap because I told them they needed to. I literally asked one of the executives, and I said, no one in your software knows why you exist. So fortunately, thank goodness, on their next communication with the users, the very first slide was why this exists. And that's why Copilot exists, is to put pressure on these other CRMs. And so I apologize for that. I did not mean to do that. I might need to edit that out. Okay, we need to move on. See, that happens when you get into these rants. Sorry, just hopped on and not sure if it's been answered. Can you send your business info, expenses, tax, etc. to QuickBooks, or how would you do it at the end of the year? Yeah, so when it comes to QuickBooks, there is a sync, and it's pretty good. And we do address when there's bugs. However, I do not recommend a sync with QuickBooks. I really don't. Unless you have done the sync in another software for years and you're really, really good at it, I would not recommend doing it. We have a warning, and we spent tens of thousands of dollars, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars making that QuickBooks integration. And I'm not going to use it. There's no reason to, because look, you're going to take all of your revenue coming in from Copilot. It's going to go through Stripe. You're going to get a deposit into your account. All right. In your bank account. It's going to go into QuickBooks. In QuickBooks, you're going to mark that as service revenue. Okay. And you're like, well, I'm not going to have like broken down by invoice. That's okay. Go to your reports inside Copilot and see all of it. And if you were like, well, what's my processing fees? You're going to see it inside of Stripe. I've been audited 4 times. It always has been just fine. So in my personal opinion, it's wasted time. And in my opinion, a QuickBooks sync doesn't make you more money. Like, it's going to help my organization. That doesn't improve revenue or increase profit. It usually siphons off overhead because of increased amount of accounting and increased amounts of you getting frustrated because a sync messes up or payments duplicate, etc. I just don't see it moving the needle for people in their businesses. All right, if you're doing $50 million and you have an accounts receivable department with 4 people, yes, it might be beneficial and worth your time. It's not for businesses under 5 million. And so that's just my opinion. Lawn care to 1 million. Please make an affiliate link. I addressed this at the very top of the show. We will eventually, but right now we're not focused on sales. We're much more focused on customer support and customer success for onboarding, which we will be rolling out some cool stuff in January. Liam says, thanks, Mike, for the answer. Let us know when it's ready for chemical companies. There's a lot of big chemical companies that don't like Real Green, and there's not many alternatives out there. HubSpot plus Copilot would be sick. HubSpot and Copilot do sync. There's a couple people doing this using Zapier. So also just FYI, we do have on the roadmap in early 2025 to take HubSpot and take some of their really cool marketing, ad tracking and marketing tracking features because they're very, very cool. But see, this is the thing. HubSpot, massive company. It's $20 billion or something like crazy. Salesforce, awesome company. Huge. Hundreds of billions of dollars. I'm an investor. I own a piece of their stock because I think they do a good job. However, this is the bottom line. These tools like HubSpot have not, their technology has not trickled down the service industries. It's just not there. I'm sorry. Name every single CRM, including Copilot and these other CRMs that are built for like SaaS companies are leagues ahead of us. They've all integrated with AI. They do all sorts of crazy cool stuff. And honestly, the service providers, we are just not there. Like with dispatching and scheduling and all this, we are not even close. And so I just hope that Copilot puts a little bit of pressure for these big boys that have all the money to go compete with these guys and build something better for home service businesses. There's just no reason they can't. Like, I'm over here trying to bootstrap this little business. Then there's people sitting on mounds of cash. And so if I can take 10% of their market share and they get mad about it, fantastic. Hopefully deploy some of that money into making some of these features that HubSpot and Salesforce has already figured out and are making for other big companies. All right, Michael, relax. Take a break. Great. By the way, big fan. Got the YouTube always on repeat. Thank you. Oh, you're on YouTube chat. Our business has customers sign up to recurring service via e-commerce platform. Charge card at point of transaction. Recurring first of month billing automatic. Can this be done CP? Yeah. What I would recommend doing, because like doing it through the e-commerce platform, personally, don't know why you would want to do that. What I would do is do it still in person if you would like. Just have their client portal open and you could literally have them put their card information there. And then what I would personally do, if you want to do like prepayment like this, you could make your deposit threshold. You could actually make that. Oh, I see. This is recurring service. Okay. Well, I was about to say some people inside of Copilot are using the deposit threshold to have prepayments in that they make their deposit threshold 0 and 100% is the deposit amount. So it essentially means if you're going to do a project, you have to pay the full amount in order to get the job on the schedule. That's one way to do it. But if you're doing recurring, you would just need to set up your level billing to be at the beginning of the month for the upcoming month. So you definitely do it. How does the multi-location work? We have a different server. It's called Command Center. It's called commandcenter.copilotcrm.com. And we built it for for Command Center at Augusta. So we literally just called it that. And so there's other users now starting to jump on that have 2, 3, 4 locations. It's really only useful if you have a centralized office with a bunch of locations, 2, 3, 4. So that way you're not logging in and out of different accounts. You do have to have different accounts for every business because you want to have that separation. I do have for all 7 of my locations, different Copilot accounts. What you want though is an office account that you put employees into, like users in a regular account, and then we on the back end tie you into Command Center so those users can go into all of your locations without having to log in and out. How many subscribers do you have? How many subscribers do you have? How many employees? Oh, you mean like how many does Copilot have? I'm being a little bit reserved with the number of subscribers, like how many people are using it, only because we have a couple people being very litigious right now and they're using every bit of information against me. So I'm just not going to share that right now. not because I don't want to. I would actually like to build Copilot in public and like share all the numbers. And I was about to do that, and literally that week I got bad stuff happening. So I'm just like I don't want legal distractions to take away from what we're trying to do at Copilot. Our goal is not to be in a mugslinging contest. How many employees we have? It's like 20, a team of 20 right now. We're hiring 3 or 4 more in the next couple of weeks. And then my head of operations, Lindsay, she's joining the team. She's worked with me for a couple of years at the gym as my gym manager, and she's gonna be fantastic. And she's gonna help increase the team size as well. Will simple estimate be integrated with the work request form anytime soon? I would not say anytime soon, but it definitely probably will happen in the future. One-click estimates are gold. I agree. Will forms be able to include different forms to target specific service pages on our website so that relevant questions can be built in the form? Great question. So this is actually the work request form, and we do have it in that feature to have multiple work request forms. So instead of just having one, you could create bunches. You could have multiple of them, and then you could put them on individual pages. So if you're like, I want to do one just for the specific ad or the specific service, you'd be able to create a new work request form for a specific service and then use that link or script on either a page or an advertisement, for example. Great question. Lawn treatment using SA. Can or will CPU allow to create a 6 treatment package that will have 6 weeks between spring visits, 3 weeks after previous? If it's that simple, probably will work. That being said, if you've listened to for a while, you probably hear me say this already. If you're deep in SA on packages, you on the roadmap, you just wait till spring. We have a lot more work to do in that regard. Melissa Falcone. Do you have a time clock for employees? And do you have a time clock in, out, clock out for each job to be able to track? Yes. We have a time tracking for your employees, punch in and out on a global level, and then every single job they punch in and out on as well. And then we have time tracking for all of those. And you can see it live on the dashboard when they're there, and it's tracking the time live, as well as seeing them on the map on the GPS. Can we change card on file before accepting a job? Also, what does that mean? Can we change card on file? I'm guessing you mean like the requirements are, yes, you can change that and you can edit it however you want for each customer. Can we change card on file? I think you mean the requirements. The answer to that is yes. And like, yes, you or the customer can change the credit card whenever you want. Also, what about commercial? Do they have to cover? Okay, got it. Yeah, you're talking about card requirements. So you can just turn off for commercial clients that they don't require card on file. So that's totally fine. What is considered a large enough company to negotiate with Stripe? I don't have enough data to give you exacts. I'm based upon their form, because you can like fill out a form. I would say if you're over 1 million, you could probably start negotiating with them. I'm just guessing though, or if you have high transaction velocity, like number of transactions, like the poo-poo scoopers I was mentioning, they have like hundreds of transactions a day because they build every service, and it was like every service was only like $8 to $15. So I don't know, to be honest with you though, in terms of revenue. Yeah. Where else is this being streamed live? I'm seeing questions in video that are not here in YouTube chat. This is on, yeah, I put this on the YouTube, the private thing. So if you are a subscriber on YouTube, you're seeing this, but it's also on mikeandys.com/live. No, it's not on Facebook. I did not put it on Facebook. Can you explain or show how the vehicle and equipment maintenance portion of the CRM looks? Also, where can we see how the interface or app looks like on mobile? So almost everything you can do on the desktop, you can do on the mobile. I'd say 93%. Like there's some things we don't, is not fully functional, like sequence automations, for example. But the vast majority of things inside of the app or in the desktop can be done on the mobile app. The mobile app will be significantly improved in January because we're gonna have the offline mode. So if you have bad service patches in your market, you can still clock in and out of jobs, add pictures, add notes, mark jobs as complete, navigate to jobs, and several other things. We basically we're just spending quite a bit on just making sure it's basically fully functional, even if it's offline. What's cool though is because we don't use Wi-Fi, like internet, to track the devices, you can still see the live GPS on the map of the employee, even if they are offline. Are you saving this video? This video will be on the YouTube channel for Copilot CRM. So if you got to watch the recording, feel free to do that, or just go to mikeandys.com/live. Hey, Mike, just so I heard right, if an SA user works well with packages, don't switch to Copilot yet. Yeah, if you're deep in packages, probably not the best time yet. Wait till spring. Feel free to get the free version or use Enterprise for a month or two and then ask for a refund. That's fine. If you want to try it out. But I would say if you're a power user of packages and SA, you probably want to wait until we're done the chemical stuff that we're working on in Q1. ChatGPT is already integrated. If you go to the email page, you'll see the AI assistant, and you can literally click in there and just ask it to reply to emails or ask it to create a contract or whatever you want. How many expenses can Copilot track? I assume QB is still needed, but how much can all go through Copilot? Additionally, how will Copilot work, integrate, and help when using subcontractors? Will this side be built out some? The subcontractor side of things, I would just for now say you can make a customer category and call it subcontractors and run them through that. It's pretty versatile. If you just start to look at like how we're kind of building it, it's pretty versatile. Like we're actually, to be perfectly honest, moving away from a completely different sales tool and moving all of our internal franchise operations inside of Copilot, because you can still like communicate, categorize, everything's like exactly the way we want it. So it's pretty flexible. I would assume most of it you can do with subs in there pretty easily. That being said, the first part here, expenses. I would not use the expenses tab inside Copilot unless you're very, very small. You need QuickBooks. Just do everything in QuickBooks that syncs up with your bank and syncs up with your credit cards. Saves you a ton of time. The only reason we put the expenses little button there is because for really, really small companies that do this on the side, they would put their money inside, like their expenses inside of Copilot. But I would not recommend doing that. If you're larger, use QuickBooks or let's see, there's like Xero, Xero in Australia. They're more popular. There's a few other ones, FreshBooks, etc. Any of those will work, but do not use the expense thing as it's too much duplication. Like, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. That's great that CPU will work on our holiday lighting service. This would be a 2024 sign up. Better, our season is basically over installing. Very cool. Seal coat specialties. We do asphalt repair. When we drive by a new paved driveway, we want to target that address in the future for seal coating. Will you have the ability to drop a pin on the map to target that address? Drop a pin on a map to target. No, we don't. I'm guessing you're talking about things like SendGem potentially. Like you could put the address inside of Copilot and then target them. Yes. Right now, we don't really have anything to do with mail though. So unless you have their email or their phone number, which is ideal, and you could get that information potentially from like your county assessor's office, potentially. But right now, the email and the phone number is the part that's really would be useful for targeting. So if you have a list of people, for example, but just like dropping a pin and then like sending them mailers directly through us, not working. However, you can use Zapier to do this. So something like SendGem on these other account, like what it's called, Radius Bomb or whatever, where you're able to send a target and address. You can integrate that with Copilot so that it's like, hey, every category, customer category type that I put in here that called like new lead, or you could name it like SendGem as the customer type. You can customize that, and then it would just automatically go through Zapier and like push that out as an automation inside SendGem. You could totally do that. Does Copilot have a report to break down sales tax payable for different tax jurisdictions? This is the only reason I currently sync with QuickBooks. Oh yeah, absolutely. This is in most CRMs. A breakdown of your tax report. Steve Button, how do you get your questions to the show? Is it being broadcast somewhere else? I cannot find it on Facebook. I'm seeing your questions right now. I'm just way behind. I apologize. But I do see your questions. I can see you're on YouTube, but you can also go to mikeandys.com/live. What do you recommend companies doing over 50 snow plowing accounts not to use Copilot? Yeah, right now I wouldn't use Copilot if I had like 200 properties I was doing snow plowing. Personally, I wouldn't. In next summer, we're going to fix, I wouldn't say fix, we're going to add features to Copilot that will allow for better snow plowing operators that are much larger. That's how I would say it. And why? Because there are several things that I think we could really improve with snow. There are people doing snow inside Copilot. I just want to be very honest. But I personally, I'm just like speaking, if I did a ton of snow plowing, like over 50 properties, every single visit, at every single event, like snow event, I'd probably wait because there's some cool features I think that we could do. There's a couple companies, like one's called Folio, I believe it is, that we were looking at in terms of they just do snow. And there's some really cool features we're going to try to do next summer that would be helpful for much larger operators. How would you set up a 50% deposit payment and remainder upon the completion of the job? Really simple. So you just go to the deposit thresholds inside of your settings. You'd set it as 50%, and then you have to have a threshold. So you'd have percentage, 50%, and then the threshold would be a dollar amount. So like you say anything over $500, I want 50% of the payment before the job starts. That would be applied as a credit to the customer's account. And then at the end of the job, you'd bill them for the rest. Does the global time tracking for employees have a geo stamp on clock in and out? Yes, it does. Oh, wait, geo stamp. Okay, my bad. My apologies. It does not yet. We are going to add this, and we're going to have it where it's geo fenced so that when they drive into like the shop, for example, you can automatically clock them in. When they drive out, it'll automatically clock them out. Clock them. Yeah. And then also same thing with jobs, like their address. We're going to have that. So we're actually testing it right now with P4P. And we're hoping in a couple weeks to roll that out with P4P. And I'm going to like nail it in P4P before we bring it over to Copilot next year. Do you get packages to work like SA and Real Green before Spring Rush 2024? Copilot is going to explode with lawn applications companies. Cool. Can clients have more than one card, i.e. one for recurring service, one for projects? Oh man, we were talking about this the other day. What was it about? Yes, you can. We added the ability to add multiple cards. There's something that we were trying to fix with this. What was it? I think it is, yeah. I think right now it is the customer can only add one card from their client portal, but if they have another card, you can add it on our end, like the back end of Copilot, you can add it in from their client profile, but they can't add two. I think that's our problem right now. And we're figuring out if there's a security thing with that. Because what we're trying to do is have where they can set like two in there and have one that is like the auto pay one, and then like a backup. So like that sort of thing. But we have it in the client portal, but you can do that already inside of the client profile. So if they want a second card, which is very rare, they could call in, get the card on file, and yes, it would work. So does SA have that? What does SA have that is lacking in Copilot? Great question. Let me think. Honestly, right now, I would say packages, customized forms, I would say automations, but I'd say within 2 to 3 weeks when we make this final round of change of sequence automations, everything in there you'll be able to do in Copilot. Those would be the two main ones that comes to mind is packages and forms. I'm sure there's like tiny other little things that are probably very important to certain companies, but like from my perspective as a holistic CRM, those would be the two things that jump out to me right now. Can you explain how level billing works? Yep. So basically you have a monthly amount that you charge the customer, and then you set up jobs inside of it that don't actually change the amount that you're billing the customer. So you have a zero in terms of like the cost to the customer, but you still have budgeted hours so your crew can go to the job and they only see the jobs that are scheduled for that specific service. They don't see the entire 20 services that are part of the contract. That way, especially with pay for performance, etc. But the guys don't want to see when they get the job like this massive contract of stuff. They just want to see the one or two things they're supposed to do this service. But then the billing stays the same. I'm testing out the solo package. It says the dispatch board is included, but does not work when I click it. Talk to air traffic control. If the dispatch board is on everyone's account. Everyone's account has the dispatch board. Even the free version has it. So just reach out to ATC. It could be your filters, and so it's not showing. But yeah, talk to them, and they'll definitely make sure you're good to go. Is there document signature capability similar to a DocuSign? There's a form with signature right now. It is not great. It is not integrated like you might want for requiring a signature for every estimate. We have that on the roadmap. Let me see where it's at. Integrated signature, Q2 of 2024. That is when it is on the roadmap. Again, if you just joined the roadmap, some of the stuff we've already done. So like we already finished this one. We're going to be done this one in a month and a half. We finished all of these so far besides 3D notifications and the work order form and updates. So those ones we might not hit our deadline on, to be perfectly honest. Do you recommend anyone who can do QuickBooks for a new Augusta franchisee and also bookkeeping that wants to switch over from their current booking and accounting services? Do you recommend anybody who can do? I see what you're saying. So Steve, as a solo operator, Augusta, you don't get access to the command center for all the bookkeeping, but I just focus on growing the business and next year getting command center to do it all for you. It's like the cheapest version. Otherwise, I would recommend Home Service CPA. I'm very biased because I own Home Service CPA, but I do know the person running it is like 2 desks away from me and it's fantastic and will take care of people. So Home Service CPA would be the answer. Are there plans to add HR abilities to the Copilot Global Time Tracking for employees, such as calculated vacations, sick, or paid time off? Yes, there are plans to do this. It is on the roadmap for 2024, 100%. Where would I put the contract or service agreement for a customer in an estimate? You can attach it as a PDF. You can attach it as a video. You can attach it as a picture. So if you want to attach like attachments, you could also have a file from the email builder that you drag it into. So if you talk to ATC, they could probably give you like 3 different ways to do it. You could also make it a link, a downloadable link, a PDF attachment, like a whole bunch of stuff. Can Copilot be sorry, it's been a long day. Can Copilot be used to remind you to do maintenance or reach out to potential customers at certain times of the year? Yes. You can set up reminders. You can set up text message reminders, and you can set up those to your employees too. So you can set up your employees inside the system and put them inside of automations. So it's not just for customers. It's for you. It's for your employees, and it's for your customers. And you can definitely set up reminders for all sorts of things. We have a commercial client that has multiple properties. Each property needs a different card on file. That is a tricky one. Let me think about that a second. We just made a feature where you can merge customers together and then it compiles the properties, but I'm not confident in saying that all those credit cards are going to be compiled in the same account. I know that 2 can be, I think 3 can be, but I don't think you're going to get tons of them. So I would probably recommend in this case is make a different customer for each property so you can have a different card for each one and then potentially just have your like one of the accounts that you send the emails to and from. Maybe you hop on with ATC, they can probably get a better idea than me. They just see like literally a gazillion companies a day and how they're using Copilot, and they usually come up with some pretty creative solutions for you. So that's why I'm saying that. Master schedules. I don't know how people use master schedules in full. We do have the ability to have set schedules and like weekly, bi-weekly of off seasons too. So we really lean into off seasons. We don't like the fact that you got to pause and start service. So for example, for mowing, you can set up weekly or bi-weekly service. You say, I want that to start from March and I want to end November, and you won't have to turn it off. It'll automatically pause. And then if you're like, oh man, what happens if it goes over a week and like I gotta just literally you change the off season and it'll change all your recurring visits and add one more visit or take one more visit away from all the recurring series in that using that off season. So we really lean into off seasons a lot more. Does Copilot have templates yet? If not, when are they coming out? I'm not 100% sure when you mean by templates. I'm guessing you mean estimate and invoice templates. If that is the case, it is going to be coming out hopefully in January. When will forms be available? Probably in January. I would say to be safe by the end of February, because I have said before spring rush. Will and when customized forms be coming to Copilot? I think that's the same question. This is probably a future question. Have you looked into the companies that are doing sales through SMS? Yes, we have looked through a lot of them. And we have bulk messaging, texting through Copilot. when we start thinking about like lead tracking is when we'll start doing some other cool stuff. How available is your onboarding? Are they readily available to help? No, right now they're about a week booked out and I don't like it. So we're hiring a ton of people and training a whole bunch of people. And in January, my hope is that we can do onboarding for you and do all your CSV imports and we can handle it all for you if you want. And we've already created the curriculum for the program. It's gonna be super cool. Back to expenses and Copilot. Can you expand your reasoning for using QuickBooks instead of Copilot for a $750,000 business revenue? Is that recommended? I don't know if you listened to the part like a couple minutes ago, but I explained how I do it. And I've always seen that work well for audits. And I've seen 95% of people that use QuickBooks Sync be frustrated, not just in Copilot, in every CRM I've ever dealt with. I do not recommend it unless you have used it for years and you know the idiosyncrasies of the QuickBooks Sync. I just see people spending time fiddling around the sync instead of growing their business. And if you're doing under 5 million in revenue, the vast majority of your time should be spent on developing your team and sales. That's what actually builds the business. How would we use Copilot to handle master and sub properties similar to SA does? Yep. So you can have a bunch of properties inside of one customer account. And so you can either merge them together or on the import process, you can just simply say, hey, if all of these have the same customer, I want them all put under one customer. I want to select the master, and then all of these would be like sub to them. And it'd just be properties underneath that customer. What 3 features or integrations are coming out this winter that are most important for the Copilot and Augusta Command Center transfer? Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're talking about what 3 features are coming out this winter that are most important for the Copilot and Augusta Command Center transfer? Well, we're already transferring. All my locations are transferred over. Most of Augusta Nation is inside. But I'm trying to reserve a lot of the last few weeks of December, like which is the best time to transfer for the owners inside of Augusta Nation. So I moved my locations over a couple weeks earlier than I was hoping because like, the best time is literally the last week of December. So if you all have options, I would recommend joining the last week of December. That's the best time to join in terms of your import because then you have like a clear cutoff, one CRM for 2023, one CRM for 2024. Really, really simple. I would recommend that in terms of like when you transfer everything over. So I'm really working and trying to get the onboarding process. We have like a curriculum that will walk you through in 1 week to get everything moved over, your settings, your CSV file, your automations, your estimate analytics, everything for you. We're working on it. Can Copilot handle multiple trucks with 30 to 50 stops per day? Is there a dispatch board that allows moving of stops between trucks if one is behind schedule or breaks down? Yes, absolutely, Steven. It will handle this. No problem. And the dispatch board is, in my opinion, very good. And it has room for improvement, but it's still probably better than 95% of others. I really, really do like it. It's simple. The fact is, if you have that many stops per day for each crew, when you're scrolling down the list, you can have the map float. So you can actually see while you're working on the list, even though you're like way at the bottom of 200 visits. Can you share Copilot's method of using master or custom recurring schedules for jobs? Yeah, we really lean into the custom side a whole lot more than master because we used off seasons. I would just look at how we do the recurring series inside of Copilot University. You'll like see it live instead of me just trying to explain it. How can we see this after it's over for reference? Thanks, Mike. You're awesome. You can see this on the YouTube channel for Copilot CRM, or you can go to mikeandys.com/live and it'll be there for at least the next couple days. But it'll be on the YouTube channel like the minute this is done. Actually, it's there right now. Thanks for answering your questions, Mike. I think I can speak for all of us when I say we appreciate you hustling your butt off. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. I will continue. Elegant Estates of the Finger Lakes. Wow. Can you elaborate on what the Q2 large project management tools look like on the roadmap? Yeah, so this is going to be for projects that are like above 50, 60 grand. I feel like Copilot does a good job of up to that right now, especially like deposit thresholds, things like that. But we want to have like a tool list. So when you have a project, you can have it baked into the items and services of what tools are required for specific services. And then your crew will literally have a checklist before they leave the job. It's all automated based upon the back end of what you've put in. That's one thing. Another thing is like Gantt graphs. So if you have a project that takes 3 months, we want to be able to track, are we ahead of schedule or behind schedule based on what's called a Gantt graph. You want to look it up, Gandt, Gantt graphs. Those are some of the things that we are looking for. Is multi-job clock-in coming for mowing? It is coming. It is very highly requested, especially because people are used to it in service autopilot. Personally, I don't like doing that. I want all of my crew to see the job notes. I don't want one person to be able to clock in for everyone else. But the ability to clock into multiple visits at the same time is also coming. But we are also offering the ability for like your crew lead to clock in other people on their crew. We are going to allow that because the reason I'm hesitant to do it, not only because I want people to see the job notes, is because down the road, I know what we're going to be building when it comes to drone mode, and it requires everyone to have an account because we need to be able to track every individual. I'll just leave it at that. Wow, an hour and a half. I've been talking a lot today. All right, everyone. I love you very much, regardless of whether or not you join Copilot. I hope that you just grow your business. That's all I care about in this industry. That's why we started Copilot. And unfortunately, I was not seeing the change I wanted to see in the industry from other CRMs. And so we had to do it ourselves, unfortunately. But I do hope that over 2024, regardless of whether or not you join, if you join another CRM, if you're in another CRM, you stay there, fantastic. I do hope that the innovation at Copilot pushes whatever CRM you choose to use to become better for you and offer better tools, better support, and get their butt off their seat and go create some features for this industry and make us more money. And I have no shame in saying I want to change the level of professionalism in the industry. And I also want to make home service business owners rich. Because I think if they become rich, it'll help our communities, it'll create more jobs, and it'll do a better job than welfare and the government at creating jobs. I think we're all more efficient. I think it goes to better use. I think it goes to local foundations. I think it goes to churches. I think it goes to creating jobs in our local community that aren't wasteful. I think it goes into the most affordable housing. I think it's really, really good for our economy. And I really believe that one of the best things about the home service industries is that we will never be replaced by a robot. We will never be replaced by Amazon. And we will continue to thrive if we allow technology to supplement our labor. And we can do it the dumb way, the dumb and slow way, which is do it hard and do it the hard way. And I don't need software, or we can allow software to actually come alongside us and be the quote unquote co-pilot. That's why we are named Copilot, is because I look at software as the co-pilot to allow us to be able to fly further and faster. And that's why we exist. And I hope that we put pressure on this industry to create tools that make that happen. That's all I care about. And it's literally on our website. You scroll down like right below the main page part, the top part, right below the fold, has why we exist. And it's literally to put pressure on other software companies in this industry and keep them on their toes, because they haven't been on their toes the past 4 years, and that's got to change. So I appreciate all of you being part of this, whether or not you join Copilot. I just hope you grow your business. I would recommend watching Copilot University. Sorry, I'm getting losing my voice. Watch Copilot University. It'll probably help you in your business regardless if you join Copilot. And that's why we made it free and like available publicly. So Copilot University is just mikeandys.com/Copilot. You can sign up for free and watch the videos. It'll take you like two days. I promise you, if you join Copilot, excuse me, and watch all those videos in Copilot University, you will be 90% efficient at using the software. We put our tech team, like our support team, through that, and they can answer their tests at like 90% efficiency by the end of just the training, like just watching all the videos. So what they're getting, a big chunk of it, we do other like scenario-based stuff with them. But in terms of like just knowing the software, 90% of it you're going to get if you take 2 days and just watch all the videos. And we're just going to make it better in the future and hopefully have a much better onboarding process for your settings, your CSV files, and then your templates, automations, etc. Oh man, I'm a little tired. You guys have a fantastic evening. I will do this again next week and probably the week after that and the week after that, because we do not have any space on this with the one-on-one sales team in all December. It all got booked up last night. So I apologize, but I would recommend, if you're watching this right now, like, when should I get Copilot? Get it in December, please. We are not going to allow anything past December 31st for the price lock guarantee. And I'm going to be really firm on it. So please join in December, even if like, well, I'm going to join in January. Just pay the little bit extra. If you end up not joining, there's a founder guarantee. You'll get 90 days where we'll give you your money back. So like, just join in December so that way you get the price lock guarantee. I just can't stress this enough, because we're going to raise the price. And I think the way, like, I would be a hypocrite not to raise the price when I tell every other home service industry business owner to raise prices if you add more value to your customers. If you improve your CRM, if you allow for credit cards on file, if you answer your phone 40 hours a week instead of 20 hours a week, these are value adds to the customer. You should raise your prices. we're going to raise our prices at Copilot. But for the people that join now, because I know we have bumps in the road and I know we're early, and a lot of people that are buying it now, they're buying because they believe in what we're trying to do. And so for that reason, I'm locking the price for the enterprise level for life. It is in the bylaws of this company. So if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, that can't be taken out. And I feel pretty passionate about it. So I really do appreciate it. This is really a community event. We don't have any backing, like funding, like VC or private equity. I own 90% of the business. The other 10% is by my co-founder, Patrick. He's awesome. He's mostly focused on his other businesses, but he's mostly silent. I kind of bought out most of his equity out. So I own 90%. What I say goes. We have a phenomenal team, head of product, head of sales, head of support, head of customer success, and head of operations. There are literally all the desks closest to me, and we are building this thing, and we are going to take it to the moon. And I hope along the way we get these other CRMs to pick up their game. That is the whole objective of doing all of this. So I love you all. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate the support. If you want to join Copilot, it would mean the world to me. I appreciate everyone that potentially might be on this call that has put up with a lot of bumps along the road. I think it's going to get a lot better with the switch to AWS. The next 3 to 4 weeks will be still tumultuous. We're adding in job costing next week. We have a whole bunch of updates to sequence automations coming the week after that. We have a bunch of stuff. Like these next 4 weeks are going to be crammed in. And then you can expect it a little bit slower and a little bit more stable in January going forward, because that's what I have stated is going to happen, and we're going to stay committed to that. I appreciate you all. Have a fantastic evening. And if you didn't get your question answered, I will be here and I'll do this again next week. Take care and have a fantastic rest of your